Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, this is Robin Reads. It's so good to see you all, or be here with you all. I first want to apologize for my disgustingly filthy glasses. So sorry. So sorry. Kind of. But why are we here today? Yes, not to talk about my disgusting glasses. We are here because I have not done a wrap up all year so far, but I have been reading stuff all year. So here we are. We're just gonna wrap up the books that I read for January through March of this year, and it's enough. So like get yourself some water, tea, wine, coffee, whatever will get you through this video. And like, let's have a good little chat about books I read. Or like you can just leave if you're not interested. I can't force you to watch this. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna go by the books I read monthly, but I'm gonna go in the order of least favorite to favorite. Yes, so obviously not chronological. So let's just hop right in there. First, least favorite book that I read this in January, not this month, it's April. The first least favorite book of January was I Didn't See That Coming by Rachel Hollis, which is funny because it being my least favorite, I didn't see that coming. I enjoyed her other two books, Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing. They weren't like mind-blowing, earth-shattering books, but you know, they were okay for me. But this book, man, 'twas not good. One, it just felt like a lot of recycled stories that she had told previously. And it also felt like a lot of back-patting, like on her part. She was just like, aren't I a good person? Look at me being like woke and stuff. And I was just like, chill. Also, she does this thing where she sister girls people or like her audience, and it's just tiring after a while. It's like, I know you're not calling all your friends like girl and sis, so like please stop. Like, I feel like you don't use this in your everyday language, so chill. Yeah, it just didn't resonate with me. And if you do decide to read, just letting you know, she talks about her brother's suicide a lot in this. Even though she has talked about it a lot in her previous books, which maybe felt like why it felt recycled. So yeah, that was my least favorite. And then my second least favorite was You Can't Touch My Hair by Phoebe Robinson. It wasn't terrible. This kind of felt like what it's like to be black for your white friends. But like, you don't really want to tell your friends what it's like to be black, so you just kind of say like, you make a joke out of everything. Or like, what it's like to be a woman in today's society, and it's like, I don't know. It was not my fave. I'm considering whether to read her other book, Everything's Trash But It's Okay, because I feel like that may be in the same vein as this. And then I know recently she's either coming out with, or like it already came out, a third book, so I would be interested maybe to see if there's like some growth in her. But based on this book alone, I would not. Then I read A is for Alibi by Sue Grafton. This is a murder mystery thriller about Kinsey Milhone, who is this detective, and she is trying to figure out who murdered this millionaire guy who's an asshole. The client is actually the murdered man's wife, and she like wants to find out who was the person that murdered her husband, because she's claiming that it wasn't her. It wasn't bad. I think I gave this like 3 stars. I think I gave this 3 stars. I just couldn't connect with anybody. It just felt really unbelievable. Like Kinsey Milhone, I couldn't imagine her being a real private investigator because she was so brash. And like, I don't have anything against like brash women. Be you. But it was just like, how are you getting information from people being so blunt and like off-putting? Like if you came to me the way that she did, I'd be like, I'm not telling you shit. I'm not even, like, the hell? Then there were like a little bit of a romance sprinkled in here, and I was just like, I'm not here for it. It didn't feel believable. And in fact, there's like this one part, and she says, I know this was written in the 80s. Is it the 80s? It has to be. 1982. But she's talking about like this guy that she sees. I was still thinking about that pale shirt and the dark brown vest. Now that was sexy. A man in a nylon bikini with that little knot sticking out in front isn't half as interesting as a man in a good-looking business suit. Charlie's outfit reminded me of a Reese's peanut butter cup with a bite taken out, and I wanted the rest. I drove to Nikki's beach house. First of all, nothing about a Reese's peanut butter cup sounds sexy to me. Second of all, we're going to have that, and then you're just like, and then I went to Nikki's house. That was the end of the chapter. What? Yeah, so not my favorite. I don't know if I'm going to continue with B, C, D, and the rest of the alphabet, but I don't know. Then I read A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. This is the 4th book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. This was actually my least favorite of all of the books so far. I gave this 3 stars. I feel like I couldn't get into it. It was very slow paced compared to the rest of the other books in this series so far. And we spent so much time on characters that we hadn't we had glimpses of those characters, but they weren't compelling enough for me to feel like they deserved spots in a book. So I think that's why I just didn't overall enjoy it. Then I reread Shadow and Bone, and then I also read Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. I gave Shadow and Bone and Ruin and Rising 3 stars, maybe like 3.5. And I gave Siege and Storm 4 stars. I don't know, it just felt more interesting to me. This series follows Alina, who is an unknowing sun summoner, and the Darkling, who is trying to get her powers. It's a whole adventure. So enjoy, read it. Then I listened to Acceptance by Jeff VandeerMeer. This is the last book in the Southern Reach trilogy. I can't really tell you what happens in this, but basically Earth has gone to shit. There's like this one spot that is just really weird, and it's consuming anything that goes into it. Like, plants are growing, but like people die. And so this was kind of like the culmination of everything that happened in the first 2 books, and how like they figure out what this thing is. That's really a shit synopsis, but like I can't really tell you anything about book 2 because I was confused the whole fucking time. And if I tell you anything about the 3rd book, then like I'll have given it away. So, and last but not least, for January, I read Furthermore by Taherah Mafi. I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. I think I was coming off the heels of reading one of the Grisha trilogy books, and I just like needed something different than Alina, Mal, and the Darkling. And this was it. It was so sweet and perfect. This follows Alice, who is colorless in a world full of color, and all she wants is to just be like colorful like everyone else. But she has to go on this epic little adventure with her friend to save her dad. And I loved it. It was just such a good time. I'm really excited to continue and read Witchwood, which is the next book. I actually don't think the next book follows Alice though. So I think it's like another person. But if it's still in the same like kind of world-ish, I'm definitely going to be interested. And that was everything I read in January. Now, let's move on to February. February rolled around. It got a little busy for me because I got a sweet little furball named Blair who just kind of ran my life for all of February. So I didn't get a ton of reading done, but I did read stuff. So yay to me. Starting at the bottom, Thomas Jefferson, The Art of Power by John Meacham. This is obviously the presidential biography of Thomas Jefferson. I started this in January, but I finished it in like the beginning of February. Thomas Jefferson, was he a brilliant man? Absolutely. He had some very radical ideas about how government should be run. Was he still a trash president? Absolutely. So far, the running theme in these presidential biographies are like, man, I wish I could do something for like the good of the people, but I'm scared that if I do, all my homies won't like me. And that's pretty much like, I don't know how to sum up any of these presidents. Because they all could have abolished slavery. They all even talk about abolishing slavery. And yet they do not. Also, there's that weird thing with Sally Hemings. Weird and disgusting on so many levels. One, because Sally was the same age as his daughter. And two, because she is the half-sister of his wife. I mean, keep it all in the family, I guess, but disgusting. Trash. And that's Thomas Jefferson. I gave that 3 stars, but the rest of the things I read in February were all 5 stars. So I read We're Going to Need More Wine by Gabrielle Union. I loved this. This was what I wanted You Can't Touch My Hair to be. She gave very real life anecdotes. They were relatable. She's funny as all hell. And I don't know, I just felt like you were having a chat with your good girlfriend. You know what I mean? I would read more from Gabrielle Union if she ever decided to write something else. You could definitely tell that she wrote all of the chapters separately, because you would be reading about something and you would be like, didn't I just read about this in a different chapter? Which isn't like a huge problem, but you could definitely tell. Fantastic. Then I continued on in my Grisha World reading because I was doing a read along with Dasha at Mythic Pages and Ray from Bookmark Chronicles. We did a live show a couple of weeks ago. I'll link that down below if you want to go take a look at it. We had a good time. But I read for the first time Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I gave this 5 stars. This is my favorite of the duology. Just going to put that out there. Kaz Brecker, Inej, love them. Love them. I feel like the plot was very focused. We knew what was happening. Kaz Brecker and his crew are trying to break into this ice court in Fjorda to procure this man who is creating Jurda which is deadly to, it's a drug for the Grisha. And so they're trying to put a stop to this shit for pay, of course, because, like, who does things for the good of the people? But this was a good time. I really liked it. I feel like I connected to most of the characters. I didn't really care for Matthias. He was not my favorite. I could have done without him. Whatever. But it was a good time for me, for sure. And then my favorite, even though the last two were 5 stars, and I loved them both, I really enjoyed them. But my favorite of the month was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. It was so good. So good. It was steamy. I really related to Chloe. I felt like I could see myself in her as a character. But Chloe has a near-death experience, and she creates a list, like I would do, of ways that she needs to, like, just live more, get a life. And so on her quest to get a life, she enlists the help of her landlord, Red, and fun, steamy, sexy times happen. And you just get to see their relationship develop. But the one thing, where are we finding men who are tall, attractive, and emotionally available? Where are the Reds of the world? Somebody tell me. Seriously, I'm looking. 5 out of 5. Now we are winding down. We are getting into March. March picked up a little bit for me. Me and Blair, we were getting into our groove a little bit, so it left me a little bit more time to read more. I appreciate that. Even though most of the time he just tried to chew my books instead of, read with me. Maybe we should start him off with picture books. Maybe that's really what the problem was. Maybe it's because he can't read. Anyway, March. So first, this was my first DNF of the year. I had been doing great up until this point, and that was for My Life on the Road by Gloria Steinem. Phenomenal woman, really interesting life, but I just felt like this was throwaway stories. It was like someone was like, hey, you know what? I think you should write another book. And she was like, but I've written about so much. I don't have anything to write about. And they were like, it doesn't matter. Come up with something. So what she did was think of the most mundane things that she has done in her life and then wrote about it. Maybe it got better in the second half. I don't know. I couldn't finish it. I did give it I gave it 150 pages before I was done, but it wasn't capturing me. I couldn't really get into it, so I DNF'd. So this is gonna get weird because I'm going in order of least favorite to favorite, but this is like jumping through series. But I gave 2 stars to King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Originally known as the Nikolai duology, but now known as the King of Scars duology. You know why? Because Nikolai was barely in this. Barely. He had a point of view, but it was just like, this is not him. And it almost made me feel like he's a great secondary character, and maybe he's meant to be a secondary character. He just was not as fleshed out as I would have hoped that he would have been. We got a lot of Zoya in this. I loved it. And then there were other point of views that I just did not care for. Nina, while I really like her, she was never my favorite in Six of Crows duology, so following her just didn't do it for me. And then there were just some plot things that were very questionable. Also, the writing in Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, just fantastic. But this felt like a regression, and I don't know why. So it was it was maybe like 2.5 stars. It was 2.5 stars for me. Then I read The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. This I gave 3 stars. And this follows, I don't remember the character's name, but she like works for the Chip and Joanna Gaines of this novel. But like fake Chip and Joanna, they are not doing well when the cameras are off. They have marital issues, and it's kind of up to Carrie, and I think the other assistant's name is James. It's James. I got it. To kind of keep the couple in line, because they're going on this promotional tour for their new show, and it's like, you guys need to chill in front of the cameras. But Carrie and James have their own relationship. It's a little enemies to lovers. I don't know that they actually hate each other though. When I want enemies to lovers, I want them to like passionately hate each other. You know what I mean? Not like have some kind of cool dislike. But that's just me. Anyway, Carrie and James have this, they develop this relationship in this mutual respect for each other while they're going through trying to salvage what can be saved of the fake Chip and Joanna, their relationship. It was okay. It was a little lackluster. It's definitely not one of my favorite Christina Lauren books. As you can see, I couldn't even remember their names or really what this was about. It was a fun ride for what it was. Kind of. I read the graphic novel Cheer Up by Crystal Frasier. I was provided a copy by NetGalley, and this follows Phoebe, who is a trans cheerleader at this school, and in order to like keep the support of her parents, she has to like maintain her grades and just be like an overall good student. And so she crossed paths with her former best friend, I don't know, Annie, who is an antisocial lesbian. And it was a fun little cute story. I wish it had been a little bit longer. The pacing of it felt a little all over the place. At some points it was like a little slow, and then it just like went really fast through some of the situations, and I was just like, whoa, what is happening? But it was a cute little story overall. Annie was just like super aggressive in the beginning, and I was just like, for what? Calm down. But good time. I think I gave that 4 stars. Then I read For the Love of Friends by Sara Goodman, also a NetGalley e-arc, and 4 stars. I really, really liked it. This is about Lily, who is invited to be in 5 weddings in 1 season. Sounds insane to me, but I don't even think I have 5 friends that would want me to be in their wedding. That's a lie. I do, but not all at once, thank God. So she is in all of these weddings. 3 of them are her friends, 2 of them are family members. And to kind of like cope with the craziness that's going on with being in 5 weddings, because it's a lot of work, she takes to writing a blog about her bridesmaid adventure stories. As you can probably guess, things don't go so well for Lily. There is a little bit of a romance, which was kind of like a side thing, which I kind of appreciated. The focus was really on like Lily and her relationship with her friends, and I liked that. Like with a sprinkle of romance. Like we don't always need the romance to be all front and center. And it was just a sweet little budding romance that came out of nowhere, that just developed. I really enjoyed it. The writing was fun, I think, because the author like wrote about places that I live around and I'm familiar with. I was like, I could recognize things. I'm like, oh yeah, you know. But good story, good time, feel good things. Lily is a feisty, funny character. I loved her. and she had some really good one-liners. Her blog posts were hilarious. Back to going into order, Crooked Kingdom, which I gave 4 stars. I gave Six of Crows 5. This one, the plot all over the place. We focused on all of the characters in ways that I did not care about. But once again, the writing was good in this. I think overall, thematically, it was good. I don't know what more to say about Crooked Kingdom without like spoiling things. Just know that I will forever love Kaz and Inej. Forever. And I read Stiff by Mary Roach. It is about the fascinating lives of cadavers. And I mean fascinating. When I think about like the medical advancements that we have, and they're like due to just cutting up cadavers. It's so interesting, like how what people do with the bodies of their loved ones. I just found it really fascinating. There was a moment in here that it kind of lagged, and I became a little less interested, but then it picked back up towards the end, having her sit in on all of these different, like talking with all these experts and sitting in on different procedures, and her talking about it was really interesting to me. I had a good time. Sounds like a weird thing to say about cadavers, but 4 out of 5. We are nearing the end, people. Got 2 more. I read volume 1 of Attack on Titan. It was a good time. I've watched Attack on Titan, the anime, so I pretty much knew what was going to happen. But this is about a place where these huge monster baby human giant things are attacking this one province, country, and they're titans. That's what the monster giant baby things are called. And in this one we follow a handful of people who are affected by the titans kind of like bursting through one of the province's walls, and like how in the future they decide to take part of the team that goes and fights the titans. That was really, I mean, other things happen. I obviously wouldn't tell you what happened, but that was Attack on Titan. I enjoyed it. I gave this 5. I gave this 5 stars. I liked it. And then last, but certainly not least of these, Take a Hint, Dani Brown, Talia Hibbert. This is the second in the Brown Sisters series. The first was Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I enjoyed. 5 stars to this one. So this follows Dani Brown, who asked the universe for a fuck buddy, and lo and behold, there is Zafir, who is the security guard at the building where she works, and she's like, this is a sign that he's supposed to be the one. Zafir didn't ask for that, but he has this crush on Dani, even though he like won't admit it. It was just, I think I liked this one more than I liked Chloe Brown. Even though I connected with Chloe as a character more, the writing in this one was just a little bit better for me. I think I appreciated the dynamic between the two a little more than I did with Chloe and Red. I absolutely love this. I think I'm a combination of Chloe and Zaf. And Claff. That is who I am now. He was just a sweet cinnamon roll of a person who has resting bitch face, but is like just sweet. Sweet in the center. I loved it. I'm very excited to continue on with Actor Age Eve Brown, even though in my glimpses of Eve in these other 2 books, I haven't really been all that interested in her, so I'm curious to see how I will like that one. But 5 stars. Where are these men? Where are they? Where are the Reds and the Zafs of the world? I can't hear you. Oh, because they don't exist? Exactly. Zaf, my new fictional boyfriend. He may be my first one. I don't think I've ever had a fictional boyfriend. Or like a fictional crush. Oh my god. Look at me just having firsts. Anyway, that was my January through March wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it. Have you guys read any of these books? Do you want to read any of these books? Let me know down in the comments so that we can talk about it. If you have any recommendations based on any of the books that I loved, let me know that too. I'm always looking for new books that I want to pick up and read that I haven't probably heard about because I just haven't. But that's all I have for today. And until next time, bye.